Though Gary Oak comes across as a bit of a jerk in the original series,
Gary?
Mr. Gary to you, show some respect.
After his loss in the Silver Conference, he starts to respect Ash as a formidable and knowledgeable Pokemon trainer.
Trico!
So is it a water type?
Perhaps that respect was misplaced. Regardless, we don't see much of Gary in the Hoenn region, but I wanted to change that. So, I've made a game called Pokémon Gary Emerald version, where you get to play as Gary and travel through Hoenn. I'm also doing this as a hardcore Nuzlocke. If you like anime-themed runs with modded Pokemon games, subscribe to the channel, because I do these videos frequently. And check out this anime-themed playlist. Without further ado, let's become Gary Oak for the third time. I leave behind my adoring fans and chauffeur to go it alone in Hoenn.
It's like I just need to keep moving. I want to keep traveling and learning more about Pokemon.
Meaning I have to hitchhike in the back of a truck. But I'm unfazed. Yeah, you're right, random lady. It's not as good as Pallet Town here, though it is a lot greener. Even though I came here pretty quickly after the Silver Conference, Ash has somehow made it first, sans bike, and he thinks he can control where I belong. Give it up, Ashy boy. My first encounter with Birch leaves something to be desired. Having grown up around a professor, I expect a certain level of professionalism, not whatever the heck this is. I choose my starter, not a Hoenn one of course, but Squirtle. After participating in 2 Pokemon League conferences, this Zagoon is beaten without me breaking a sweat. Birch name drops Professor Oak, trying to ingratiate himself with me, but I can't get this sight out of my head. Instead, I'd rather just go find Ash. He hasn't gotten very far yet, but continues to rub the Silver Conference in my face. It was one battle, man. Everyone has off days. In order to have a chance at beating Ash here, Squirt has to be 4 levels higher so that he outspeeds. Of course, a simple paralysis would spell doom on my new journey. Thankfully that doesn't happen, and 2 tackles defeats the rodent. Ash doesn't have any Hoenn Pokemon just yet, but unlike me, he soon will. Birch updates my Pokedex and throws some shade at Ash like he's one to talk. Finally, these weirdos leave me alone and allow me to explore this brand new region. The first gym I come across is in Petalburg, though somehow Ash had beaten me there. During our conversation, Wally, who is not canon in the show, interrupts and asks for a Pokemon. Say what you will about Ash, he's better than this guy. Norman forces me to help him out, meaning I basically just watch as his Zigzagoon misses a tackle. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I mean, it does only have 95% accuracy, so it was bound to happen at some point. Wally eventually does leave, but Norman refuses to battle me, even though he did have an unofficial battle with Ash at this point. Instead, he tells me to go to Roxanne, so let's head to Rustboro. Ash takes his sweep time doing a bunch of random nonsense and doesn't get there for 15 more episodes. Apparently though, he still got here first. That's going to be a theme in this run, where Ash is constantly ahead. It's a nice change of pace between their Kanto and Johto journeys. Regardless, I'm not really expecting a tough battle here, even though I only have a single Pokemon. Squirt lives up to his namesake to Squirt Roxanne's first 2 rock ground Pokemon. Nosepass, being only a rock, takes quite a bit less damage and slows Squirt down with a Rock Tomb, but it doesn't really matter. Roxanne does heal, several times actually, but eventually her nose simply can't stand up to those squirts. And I win. After kicking some serious butt, Squirt evolves into a Tort, as I earn my very first Hoenn badge. Or my 19th badge in total. Talk about overachieving. Now I could have done this before that gym, but there was really no need. Now though, I'm on the lookout for my first catch, an Abra. While we never technically saw Gary use one, at the Silver Conference you can clearly see one on Gary's registered team, so she's fair game. And thankfully, a single Great Ball catches her before she can teleport away. I save an old guy's Wingull because I'm just a nice guy like that, and I'm trying to become a better person. Also, I need a ride on his boat. What? It's still nice to help people, even if you get something in return. Before that though, I meet up with Ash again, who brags about beating Roxanne with a Pikachu, which, to be fair, is decently impressive, and he has also caught 2 new Pokemon. After a Focus Energy and Water Gun, Ash swaps his new Tailo for Trico, who resists water because he's clearly a water type himself. I leave Squirt in to tackle and get a crit. Sai comes out on another absorb and finishes the tree gecko with confusion. And the Tailo too. Pikachu survives the first hit, and thanks to Double Team, avoids the second. But after a quick attack, Sai ends up victorious. No, I'm not going to, Ash. I don't need any to defeat you. Now, that old guy gives me a ride straight to Dewford Town, where in Granite Cave, I run around looking for the 10% Geodude encounter. But I feel like a rock should be much easier to find in a literal rock cave. Oh well, I do end up getting one, not that I plan on using stone in the next battle. First, I try to trick Mr. Briny by healing at the Dewford Center and traveling back to the Petalburg port. Then Sai teleports me back to Dewford, where Briny is somehow still there. If he wasn't there, I would have just soft-locked myself, but looks like Game Freak thought of that already. Now, in Ash's battle with Brawly, he foolishly allows his Makuhita to evolve mid-battle.
What's happening?
Hariyama.
It's not really fair that he can do that in the show, but I have to wait till after the battle. Either way, this will make the second gym a bit more difficult. First, he starts with Machop, and I with Squirt. He uses several water guns as Machop bulk ups. After a few hits, Brawly heals, does some damage with low kick and seismic toss, before falling to water gun. Since Squirt has been hurt, Medicham sees a KO with Focus Punch, meaning that as long as I keep using water gun, he poses no real threat. He also won't use Light Screen, which would ruin my plans. Last, out comes the big sumo, the evolved Hariyama. Thanks again, Ash. Now he loves to bulk up on the first turn, even if he doesn't need to, allowing Sai to come out effectively for free. 2 confusions will easily take out this Hariyama, and he just bulk ups again. This is working perfectly, except I forgot about the citrus berry. That was a stupid mistake. Now confusion is not a 2-hit KO, and Sai is at a real risk of dying. But there's nothing I can do about it, except use confusion and hope for the best. She is hit with Vital Throw, and survives with 3 HP. Whoa. She heals with her own insignificant berry, and then one more confusion defeats Brawly. That larger sumo really threw me for a loop. It actually did hurt quite a bit there, Brawly. In Slateport, I briefly consider entering into a Pokemon contest, but Gary is much too cool for that nonsense. Who do you think I am? May?
I wish I could enter a contest in battle.
The next time I encounter Ash, he goes out of his way to make sure that I know he was the one responsible for Sai almost dying. I'll get you for that, man. Stone can finally be used in a battle where she kills one bird with 1 stone. This baits out his newest Pokemon, Corphish, so Squirt comes out to take a bubble and bites a couple of times. To make these fights more interesting, I will allow Ash's Pokemon to evolve as soon as they are high enough to do so, like Grovyle here. Even though he's evolved, the only grass move he has is Absorb, so it's not really a concern. Squirt bites him 3 times before pivoting to Sai for a confusion. This time, Pika doesn't get a chance to double team because she's immediately crit. After losing 3 times in a row, Ash starts to wonder if dropping all of his non-Hoenn Pokemon off at Oak's lab was the best move.
Professor, I've decided to start a new journey too and only take Pikachu with me. I want it to be just like the first time I left Pallet Town. Pika!
I mean, I get why they decided to reset his team at the start of each region, but it always made me miss some of his better Pokemon, like Charizard. When I arrive in Mauville City, Watson is super depressed about something. But honestly, I don't really care. I just want another badge. Unlike Brawly, his team was not dramatically altered by Ash blowing through town, so he still starts with Voltorb. Stone starts the battle by getting a Magnitude 4, keeping this ball alive. Now, I'm no seismologist, but that is the weakest possible magnitude she could have gotten. I don't know why it doesn't start at Magnitude 1 though. See my previous comment about seismology. Regardless, she makes up for it, defeating the ball and Electrike. She dodges Sonic Boom, somehow, taking out Magneton. Manectric survives the first Magnitude 6 to Quick Attack, but that does basically nothing. Tackling a stone doesn't do all that much, as evidenced by Manectric's quick defeat and that stone's prompt evolution. Even though I clearly said I didn't care, Watson bores me with the tale of how Ash's Pikachu got supercharged and decimated this gym.
Use thunder!
Impossible!
There's no way!
Now, I'm not surprised that Ash didn't really earn this battle the legit way, because he had a habit of doing that back in Kanto, where he would simply be given badges without properly defeating the gym leader.
Since Kadabra is no longer able to battle, I officially declare Pikachu the winner!
Hopefully, he's not back to his old ways.
Yeah, but do you really think I deserve to get this Marsh badge?
No, I don't. Near Fall Arbor Town, it's finally time for my next encounter. It's been a while. Gary must have a thing for rare Pokemon, because here, Skarmory only has a 5% encounter rate. Like Alakazam, Skarmory wasn't shown in battle, but we did see it during this picture of Gary's team during the Silver Conference. So when I eventually find one, I can catch it. And as much as I'd love to earn another badge, first I need to save all of Hoenn. Maxie has this plan to erupt a volcano, and being the new good guy that I am, or am trying to be, I decide to stop him. I begin with Stone, who gets intimidated and sand attacked. After missing and getting flinched twice, I need to pivot into Airplane for his debut battle. Steel Wing is not quite strong enough, but after a heal, Plane gets a crit. I wanted him out now to bait out Ember that Squirt can survive, even if it is a crit. His water gun is still too weak to one-shot Camerupt, but he easily survives a magnitude and takes it out next turn. Last is Zubat, who Plane simply defeats in a single wing. So yeah, good job for saving the world there, Gary. You know what Ash was doing while I stopped the bad guys? Yeah, I know. I bet he never stopped an active volcano from erupting. Regardless, now it's time to battle the newest Hoenn gym leader, Flannery. This battle could go either way, honestly. It'll either be really easy or way tough. It starts off easily as Squirt water guns the Numel. This brings out Macargo because one of Flannery's Slugmas evolved while battling Team Rocket right before Ash's gym challenge.
Macargo.
Of course, that makes this easier for me, as Macargo is 4 times weak to water. Camerupt is too, but he's just strong enough to survive a water gun and attract my turtle. Since I'm not a completely cruel monster, I don't force Squirt to kill his love. Instead, I let Stone do it with a magnitude, and Squirt just has to watch from a distance. Torkoal barely survives a magnitude 9 and sets up the sun. This could be an issue because a sun-boosted overheat could one-shot Stone, but with another magnitude, followed by a dig, Torkoal never gets the chance to do it. Almost immediately, I head to Petalburg for another gym battle. It's during this battle that Ash finally learns about Pokemon abilities.
What's this?
Astounding!
Of course, it's Overgrow. It's an ability both Trico and Grovyle have that magnifies the power of their grass attacks, just in case they become exhausted during battle.
It's not surprising it took him so long. He was always a little slow when compared to me. Anyway, I start this Norman battle with Airplane. He heals Confusion after a Teeter Dance, and misses 2 Steel Wings in a row, but eventually connects with a second one to defeat Spinda. Vigoroth hits him several times with Facades and feint attacks, but being a steel bird, it does basically nothing. After a heal, Airplane takes him out too. Lanoon also does a bit of damage, but it's not really a concern. Not even Slacking can scare Airplane. That being said, he does use Rock Smash just in case Slacking counters, which is exactly what happened. Good thing I didn't get a crit there, huh? I pivot to Squirt on a loafing turn, and even though this is cheap, he begins to alternate between Protect and Tail Whip. Even with -6 defense, Secret Power is remarkably weak, so after another hit, I pivot to Stone. She defense curls a single time, more to stall than anything. That way, she can be underground while Slacking tries to hit her. Not that it matters, as a single dig finishes off the giant sloth. For me, nothing eventful happens after this victory because I simply get the badge and leave. But for Ash, apparently some snot-nosed brat was upset that his dad lost, so he steals the balance badge and runs away with it. And that is why I, Gary Oak, have no friends. Because that way, there is no one to break your trust and betray you. On the way to Fort Tree, Ash participates in and wins a Poké-Ringer competition with his newly evolved Swellow. You know what? That's good for him. I'm not even bitter about arriving too late there or anything. even though I'm pretty sure Airplane would have been able to take him. And even though Ash totally stole the victory out from under me during my competition in Johto. I'll get a chance to prove that Airplane is better soon enough. First, I need to help defend a couple of nerds at the Weather Institute, and as a reward for saving their lives, they give me an Eevee, a much better Pokemon than that Cloud thing. And this is the last time I will manipulate the game to get a specific Pokemon. It just wouldn't feel like a proper Gary run without Blastoise or Umbreon. Before Eevee gets a chance to evolve though, we run into Ash, who is pretty pumped after his Swellow victory. I think I can knock him down a peg. Airplane would easily take out his Swellow if Ash didn't chicken out and swap to Torkoal instead. I similarly swap, but for me, it's not because I'm a chicken, instead, I'm just smart. After a Protect, Squirt easily takes out that Fire Turt. As always, Stone comes out to Earthquake the Pikachu. Squirt makes a return on Crawdaunt because I don't really have a good counter against him. And again, I am allowing Ash's Pokemon to evolve, so this is more challenging. Pikachu, though, is the obvious exception. With the Rain Boost, a couple of Surfs defeats the Crawfish. Airplane shrugs off a couple of Leaf Blades, and Air Cutters the Grovyle. I swap to Stone here, not entirely sure why, who is endeavored and doesn't even have any rock moves. That will need to be changed before Winona. Not sure what I was thinking here, but after a wing attack, I bring Airplane back out to finish the battle, which is something he could have done in the first place. In spite of my obvious attempts to lose her, apparently, I still came out on top, and it looks like Ash is homesick a bit. Better get back to mommy then. I didn't actually realize this was a thing until comments in a recent video, because you typically don't get Eevee in Hoenn, but you can totally evolve it into Umbreon even without the apparent day-night cycle. You learn something new about Pokemon every day. Not Gary though. That guy already knows everything.
Unprepared as usual. Don't you know you have to use a hoot-hoot to get through this forest?
Leading up to our battle, Winona breaks the fourth wall to throw some shade at me, Nuzlocke Joe. How rude! I control your entire universe, Winona. To me, you are nothing more than code and pixels. I could make you simply cease to exist, but I'll settle for Gary destroying her precious Pokemon instead. Stone does have Rock Throw now, after our last horrible battle, but Swellow survives the hit and heals. Eventually, Stone does kill the bird, but it took 4 stones. Not at all how the saying goes. For Tropius, I bring out Airplane on the ultra-powerful Solar Beam that does 10 whole damage. Impressive move there. We haven't seen Sai in a while, mostly because I'm trying to not risk losing her, but she comes out to Shockwave Pelipper while holding a Person Berry just in case. Skarmory is probably her most concerning Pokemon, especially when she spams Sand Attack. Squirt does do some damage, but once he starts missing, I swap to Airplane and back again to reset his vision. I wanted him out now to Ice Beam the Altaria for some major damage, but after that hit, expecting a Dragon Dance boosted Earthquake, Airplane makes a return to Steel Wing a single time, or 2 single times for the knockout. Not that Winona accepts my clear and obvious victory. Before getting another encounter, I, Gary Oak, first need to debase myself and make these ridiculous Pokeblocks. It's not really a thing he would typically do, but I don't have any other options. Using those blocks, I go to the Safari Zone in search of a Pinsir. There is a glitch here, where by throwing the correct color blocks in the right order, you can basically remove the chance that these Pokemon can flee. Which is a good thing too, because it takes roughly half of my Safari Balls before this Pinsir is caught. And because I used a red Pokeblock to attract her, Knot Scyther has an attack boosting nature, which is excellent. Pinsir is another Pokemon we never saw Gary use, but its picture was right here next to Alakazam's. It's around this time that we do see Gary's first appearance in the Hoenn saga, though it's just a flashback of Ash and Gary watching some weird movie. Not super exciting. At some point, not entirely sure when, we do have a Pokemon Chronicles episode dedicated to Gary and the awesome research he's doing. But in my version of events, Gary is in Hoenn, so none of that is Nuzlocke Joe canon. I scare off Archie from Mount Pyre and encounter Ashy Boy once again. He's been spying on me and is threatening to tell the whole world that I made Pokeblocks with some old dude. But I can't let that get out there. It would ruin my street cred. Stone takes out Swellow without too much trouble. Since it's not raining this time, Squirt Surf does so much less damage, pathetically so, meaning that I bring out Not Scyther instead on the Crawdont. After all, she knows Brick Break, which eventually does hit after a few protects. She baits out a Torkoal that Squirt can fail to one-shot with Surf. What is going on with my team right now? You guys are pathetic. A few more protects, and the turtle does die. Pikachu, as you might imagine, is magnituded by stone and poses no real threat. Sceptile has now fully evolved, but Airplane resists all of his attacks and a few flies defeats it. After yet another crushing defeat, Ash runs away back to his mommy and his Mimey. At which point we have a number of evolutions. The ones most relevant for the upcoming Maxi battle are Squirt and Stone. Not Scyther resists the intimidating Mightyena, and with Brick Break, takes it out. This baits out a Camerupt who survives Surf thanks to Amnesia. What is up with these fire quadrupeds barely surviving a Surf? It just stalls things a bit though, so it's not a huge deal. Squirt then Ice Beams Crobat, so it looks like Stone was not even necessary. Now, while I'm defeating Maxi here, and chasing off Archie, Ash is busy getting himself captured. A lot of help that is, but I let him stew there for a bit because I have a date with a couple of gym leaders, who fight about the most unimportant things. If you have siblings, you know what I'm talking about. But Gary is an only child, because after he was born to an unknown mother and father, they realized how awesome he was, and any other child would just be a disappointment. But that's enough exposition, let's get butt kicking. Xatu starts off by using Sunny Day, which sucks because it weakens Squirt Surf, letting Claydol survive the Surf Bite combo. Next turn though, it falls to an Ice Beam as Darko bites the Solrock. Anticipating a Solar Beam, I pivot to Airplane, who actually is Psychicked. Apparently I forgot that Solrock also has Flamethrower because he uses it now, almost killing Airplane. Yikes, that was a poor move on my part. I had to swap Darko out before because he was confused, so now I bring him back in. Since Xatu has started to Calm Mind, Sai and Darko team up on him first. Sai then steals Solrock's berry right before he dies. Lunatone quickly follows suit. I am relieved that battle is over because in double battles, things are much harder to predict and anticipate. That being said, the next double battle with Maxi and Steven goes really well, and it's time to explore the ocean. I haven't shown it yet, but even though I normally don't do this, I took the time to alter the diving and swimming sprites to look more like Gary. They're not perfect by any means, but at least they no longer look like Brendan. It's at this point I recall that Ash is being held prisoner, and since he can't do anything on his own, I need to defeat Archie to free him. Not Scyther once again makes short work of the Dark Dog. Stone is confused by Crobat on the swap, but still manages to rock throw a few times for the knockout. Though I normally wouldn't leave her in against a water Pokemon, Sharpedo doesn't know any water moves, and a swagger boosted Magnitude easily defeats the shark. In spite of my victory, Kyogre still makes it rain a ton, meaning I need to awaken the Green Sky Dragon to put him and Groudon into their places. Or I could have just destroyed the orbs? That seems even easier. Before getting my last badge, I have one final encounter in Horsey, who promptly fully evolves into a Kingdra. Another Pokemon who only appeared in a picture, the same one with Skarmory, actually. With that fully evolved dragon, I can earn the 8th badge, but this battle has a twist. You see, Ash had to defeat Hoenn twice to win this badge. One was a single battle, and the other was double. Since I am not a fan of double battles, I made the final gym one. After all, you enjoy watching me suffer. Not Scyther and Squirt start by taking out Whiscash and Love Disc with Waterfall and Return respectively. A Brick Break Waterfall combo defeats Celio, but then my recording freezes at literally the most important part. It just jumps ahead to when Sai is already out. Now what you didn't get to see, but I remember quite vividly, is Milotic crit Ice Beaming Not Scyther, who promptly died. This isn't the only time my recording glitches in this video. I don't know what's going on, but more on that later. For now, Not Scyther has died, so I bring out Sai, who together with Squirt can take out Milotic, but at the cost of getting Sai Ice Beam frozen by Kingdra. I bring out my own Kingdra, Seabiscuit, and eventually his Twisters and Squirt's Ice Beam are enough to win me the 8th badge, though at a heavy cost. Not Scyther was 100% going on my Elite Four team. But with that lost, she is literally and figuratively dead to me. I don't know, maybe I'll give her to Ash or something. The good news is, I still have a full team of 6, so I'm in an okay position. In Victory Road, it turns out that Ash was not done with me yet. We have a final battle to see who can enter the Evergrande Conference. But this time, his team will be much better. Since my brick-breaking pincer died, I now have to rely on a brick-breaking squirt. So Glalie is pretty easily defeated. This baits out a Charizard who is not on his Hoenn team. This Zard has Solar Beam and starts by using Sunny Day, but thankfully Surf was a crit, overcoming that Sun weakness. For Pikachu, I am a bit nervous because I gave him Iron Tail and a Light Ball to double both his attack stats. So a crit Iron Tail would get Stone pretty close to death, but Pika doesn't even try it. Squirt, again with a Brick Break, deals a ton of damage to Lapras, and even with a heal, he can't survive. For Sceptile, I swap to Airplane again, and Aerial Ace is all it takes. Last on Ash's team is Snorlax. Now it's a bit risky staying in with Airplane because this thing has Ice Punch, but it just decides to Body Slam instead. An Aerial Ace, followed by Steel Wing, defeats Ash once and for all. So now, he finally admits defeat, rightfully pointing out that he likely would have lost to a cat with a hat had he entered the conference.
Pikachu!
Pikachu is unable to battle! Meowth's the winner! The victory goes to Tyson!
I, on the other hand, will not. As always, I start the Elite Four battle against Sydney because he's the first one you have to fight. Due to my lack of a certain bug, Squirt leads the charge to Surf Mightyena. But after being sand attacked, he misses twice, and I foolishly don't swap out, putting him in danger of dying. That was a poor start and a poor decision on my part. Airplane does come out on Cacturne and one-shots with Aerial Ace. Crawdaunt takes 2 hits, but uses the time to set up Swords Dance. Absol does the exact same thing. Shiftry outspeeds my bird to Swagger, which I expected to happen way earlier, so I had a Person Berry, and it doesn't really hurt or help me at all at this point. For Phoebe, I start with Stone, who tries to Earthquake, but Dusclops keeps using Protect. Eventually, it does hit and is a one-shot. The second Dusclops might survive, so I pivot to Squirt, expecting an Ice Punch, but it's also an Earthquake. Again, I foolishly risk Squirt here because a crit Shadow Ball would not have been great. At this point, I do get smart and swap into Airplane. 2 Rock Slides do a decent amount of damage, but this ghost is defeated in 2 Aerial Aces. I bring Stone back out on a Thunderbolt. She takes a Shadow Ball, but Earthquakes in return. Since too many of my Pokemon are getting low, it's time for Darko to make an appearance. Right as he starts to feint attack, the recording again glitches, and doesn't start working till the end of the fight. This time, we didn't miss all that much, because Darko easily defeats the 2 remaining ghosts, but it's concerning that this keeps happening. I wish I had noticed during the actual recording, not just while editing. So I'm sorry, but there's really nothing I can do about it right now but try to fill you in. Glacia is another trainer I had planned on using Pinsir for, but since I can't, Squirt is going to have to do. He isn't nearly as strong, but he does resist most of her moves. Celio takes a few hits thanks to a heal, but Brick Break eventually breaks her down too. Glalie slows Squirt down with an Icy Wind, and, not realizing my mistake, I use Rapid Spin to try and offset that speed drop. But it's not till Generation 8 that it gives you a speed boost. I was way off there. The next Celio is crit, thankfully, and Squirt heals a bit with Shell Bell. The second Glalie is also Brick Breaked, getting him healed even more, until Walrein comes out. After a single hit each, I pivot to Airplane to hopefully bait out an Ice Beam in anticipation of Sai taking the hit. She does survive, but it does more than I realized, and it also freezes her. What is with you, Sai, and getting frozen? Darko comes out to use a single Screech before pivoting to Seabiscuit. With -2 defense, Secret Power can finish it off. I don't like how long that Walrein took, because every turn is another chance that Walrein could get a sheer cold end, but in the end it worked out okay. For Drake, Squirt again stays in front. This seems to be a pattern. He Ice Beams the Shelgon. Altaria is outsped and also beamed. Darko pops out against Kingdra as it starts to Dragon Dance, but with a bit of confusion and a Screech, Kingdra basically knocks itself out with a bit of help from Darko. I leave him into Confuse, take a ton from Earthquake, my goodness Flygon, before pivoting. Airplane avoids an Earthquake, but baits out a Flamethrower for Squirt. At least, that was the plan. I don't know for sure what happened, as Flygon hit himself twice in the face. Salamence misses a Rock Slide, not that it would have mattered too much, and is also Ice Beamed. Wow, Squirt is really carrying my team right now. Let's see if we can keep this going. 2 Earthquakes defeats Wailord, who only sets up the rain. Since Wallace swaps to his Swift Swimmer, I do the same. His secret power is a 2-hit KO. I leave him in to try and Blizzard Gyarados, just in case, but I should have anticipated that Dragon Dance. Looking back at it now, I should have swapped to Airplane, but I decide instead to sacrifice Seabiscuit to give Sai a chance to come out safely with a Shockwave. She then Psychics Tentacruel, who barely survives, and kills her with a Sludge Bomb. Because, of course, that is what happens. Now I bring out Airplane, after suffering 2 back-to-back deaths. The Squid is Aerial Aced a few times, and Whiscash too, though Airplane does miss a fly on that fish. Finally, this brings us to Wallace's ace, Milotic. A bit tougher than a Meowth, I think. I was expecting an Ice Beam, but Surf works too. Darko screeches real quick before pivoting to Squirt, the true MVP of this run. One last Earthquake, and Milotic is defeated for good. And so Gary Oak wins yet another regional conference. This one though was much rougher than I expected. Obviously, I can't end the video here, so with my reduced team, we head to a super secret waterfall area and find Steven hiding from the world. As always, I start with Squirt to surf Steven's Skarmory a few times, taking an Aerial Ace in the process, and he heals with a Shell Bell. Aggron wants to either Thunderbolt or Solar Beam, but he doesn't get a chance to do either. For Cradily, I pivot to Airplane, who somehow one-shots with a non-crit Steel Wing. I did not see that coming. Claydol, thankfully, does not reflect or light screen, and simply dies in 2 hits. Armoldo is similarly one-shot with a Steel Wing. But at this point, Airplane's massacre comes to an end, thanks to Metagross. As much as it pains me, pivoting would not be safe here, so I let Airplane die, giving Metagross a double attack boost. Actually, make that a triple attack boost, as Darko immediately dies too. Meteor Mash is only supposed to have a 20% chance of boosting attack, so how did he get 3 in a row? I think he's cheating. That confusion though, did let Stone hit Metagross with an Earthquake, defeating Steven, as I have only 2 remaining Pokemon. Not gonna lie though, some of those last battles were rough, and not really up to Gary's standard. Especially not when he has such an awesome and fully evolved team. In the end though, we still did it. And at the end of the Battle Frontier saga, when we finally see Gary Oak again in the show, he has a brand new Pokemon, Electivire, who single-handedly takes out Ash's Pikachu.
Pikachu can't battle! Electivire's the winner! And the victor is... Gary!
Electivire, great job!
Following that victory, Gary decides to go to Sinnoh to become a Pokemon researcher.
I've gotta be going back to Sinnoh, Grandpa, so I'll be seeing you later.
2 seconds later.
I know just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna head over to Sinnoh.
And Ash randomly also heads to Sinnoh. What are the chances? Pretty good, since the dweeb is following me again. But that's for the next video. Before you take off, I'd like to thank my YouTube and Patreon members for all their support. And if you haven't already, check out the rest of my anime playlist, where I make videos just like this one. Thanks for watching, and smell you later in the next region.